Hello fellow space engineers, this is Marcelo from ACFM and Gaming, and I finally got to fix my computer, so that is why I'm able to make this video. Now I'm planning on making a channel update video and show you the system that I got and the particularities and the challenges that I have been facing with it, so maybe you have some input in it and help me to better construct this PC that has given me let's say a little bit of problems lately. Now, that's not going to be the main focus of the video, so I am here with the Nymph class frigate again, and as you can see, I have different uh, prow or bow modules. Now, if you have watched my previous video about this ship, it's supposed to be a modular frigate, pretty much in the line of the frigates that you use in the game Homeworld, the first and the second Homeworld, in which you have a same hull with a different bow. And the frigates in that game, you have to build them like that. But I decided to take this a little bit further and make it interchangeable. So I already have a few of those modules published. The basic, the gravity gun, the torpedo launcher, and a basic assault one, which is just Gatlings and rocket launchers. So I decided to take the design to the, let's say, next step, and I started working in this idea of having a marine frigate, like the one that you see in Homeworld 2, especially the Vaegir one, which has breaching pods. Now, the breaching pod is a concept that is similar to a drop pod, but is not aimed at a planet. Its goal is to attach to the exterior hull of a ship and then break in with a complement of marines. Now, that in sci-fi is not a new concept. You have seen them in several franchises actually. Off the top of my head, I can remember recently in The Expanse, and well, I also mentioned Homeworld, and I bet there's more. So I was building this, of course, with the help of Whiplash, who's let's say at least as far as I know, the resident expert on drop pods. And I decided to go another route, just let's say as an exercise, as a mind exercise or thought exercise, and design one of those. You would even call them vintage or old style breaching pods that you saw roughly like 2 years ago proliferate in the workshop, and in also many YouTubers made this or attempt to create a successful design in which you kind of crash the ship into the one that you want to board, but kind of just, nudge it in a way that it wouldn't destroy both. And I have tried that myself also, of course, off the channel, and with mixed results. But I decided to give it a try again because in one of those building sessions with Whiplash, he produced this ship, and I immediately became interested in it because of the functionality. Now, this ship is made by Dark Kovalord, and I believe it uses it uses a Lysius script, if I'm not mistaken. This is the floor plan. Let's see. Going off on a tangent here. Yes, it uses the floor plan and his rotor script for Beetle, Whip's own Beetle rotor script, in which you try to maximize, the author uses it to maximize the output of the hydrogen thruster. So that way he's not wasting hydrogen. And as you know, in this category of ship, the small large grid, you have to be really really careful with the hydrogen, especially because it's really hard to fit a tank in this without making it visible or a target. So if you go this route of let's say flattening it like he does here, you see the tank is there and you see just catwalks here. So you still want to economize the use of hydrogen, so you won't burn to a single tank or burn to the few oxygen generators that you have there. Now, this ship threw me back to that, and I decided to check the author's um, workshop, and turns out that he not only has made this tugboat, he has an entire family of Corvettes. He classifies them as Corvettes that actually do every single utility or purpose that you can imagine. So definitely check Dark Kovalord's workshop. I'm gonna leave the link in the description of the video. And yes, he has a breaching pod, an assault breaching pod, just like the one that I was trying to build. So I decided to, let's say, appropriate, not to use copy, because it's not even inspired by, like we joke around. This is actually my interpretation slash copy of his design here for the bow of my frigate. Now, I'm not too convinced by the design, because it would it would require that you either ram with the whole frigate or you detach the bow section, and that's, I don't know, it's kind of silly. I guess it could have its uses, but still, it's just a test. So anyway, to not digress anymore, um, definitely check his workshop. He actually, I'm gonna stop talking. I'm gonna show you what he has. And like I said before, this is just a few of the ships that he has. He has everything. He has from utility to hardcore survival ships. And this is a more, let's say, lower design ship, which is a Coast Guard patrol ship. Which is, let's say, the only one that is more, or the only one that I have found that is more for RP purposes. And this trans-atmospheric attack corvette again uses that system. Now this, spiked by nostalgia, this is definitely, I mean, I want to assume it's an interpretation of the repair corvette, the support corvette, I think, of the first homeworld. It's the Titan, I believe. And if not, it could be, a convergence of designs in which a well-made utilitarian design can be, let's say, rediscovered by a creator. Now it has, as you know, landing docks, attachment points. Is very utilitarian, and still is not fully deprived of RP details. Like some survival ships that you see in servers, they're just like a hastily built collection of blocks. This one looks like it's intended, or at the sweet spot between that and a more art piece ship. Now moving on, we have another interesting concept, and this is an attack corvette. And again, this reminds me of the light corvette, of the cushion light corvette of the first homeworld. And as you can see, he's using these Gatling arrangements, which, if you didn't know by now, this type of arrangement actually eats through armor. It's insane the damage output that they have. And another idea that brought me back to Homeworld, in this case, Homeworld Cataclysm, in which, if I don't know if you played that game, but you could join fighters to form a corvette. This is, like I said, I mean, it's not. I'm not saying that he's taken or inspired by that game in particular. It's just that those are interesting design ideas that apparently, you know, we have forgotten for so long, especially, Homeworld coming out in the 90s, in the late 90s. But anyway, he uses this modular design in which he can attach ships. In this case, we have two attack corvettes attached to a jump corvette, and that enables this small squadron, or this small flotilla of corvettes, to jump into, any sector, asteroid field, or installation and attack, an enemy faction or whatever you want to do with it. And I would assume these can remain in the no, not in the front lines while these two engage. Now, one thing that has to be said is that he uses cockpits in the front for the assault ships, which is um, I don't know, kind of interesting, and some people will consider that ill-advised, myself included. But I have been, experimenting with this size of vessel, and they're really brittle. So on that regard, maybe having the cockpit on the front, it's more of a reminder to the pilot that should just do passes, strafing runs, and that's it. Not overstayed welcome. And in space engineers with any kind of light ship, that's basically what you want to do. So, and last but not least, we have these two, or sorry, these three. This one, it welds its own slugs. These are inertia projectiles, which is the very, very first kind of BMW that we ever made in this game. And that brings me back. And a mine layer Corvette. Again, something that reminds me of the Homeworld games. And he has actual working mines. I haven't checked which script or what system they use. Like I said before, I don't know if I've said this before, but I am not big on doing spotlights. I do spotlights if I am asked to, and I know I owe you a few. I know who you are. You you have asked me to do spotlights of ships. I have them subscribed and ready to do. So now that I have my computer back, I'm going to get back on it. But in any case, it's not the focus on the channel. I noticed that some channels already do that a lot. If you ask me, that you see any ship that is in the front line, sorry, in the front page of the workshop, and they just do a review of it. I'm not gonna just repeat the same thing. So I am actually I'm suggesting that you check Dark Kovalord's workshop yourself and see what you discover, because he has a lot of ships. Okay, and we reach this beauty. Some people call it clanktastic, but I think it's ingenious. The way he uses the rotors. As you can see, these are small grid rotors. And you can, let me see the toolbar. You get different ranges of welding, or I would say you could even mount a projector, a small grid projector, and then move the rotors. Sorry, what did I do? Okay. Ah, now that is really interesting. And get the full range and just print out a small ship from it. Or just, slowly back up and weld a larger ship. Even a ship this size, the same size of this Corvette. So, in any case, that has been my overview slash spotlight of Dark Kovalord's line of Corvettes. And like I said, there's more. He has made so many of these and also other ships. Please check him out and stay tuned for updates and testing. I know that most of you have subscribed my channel because of the tests that we do, and there's more of that coming, especially now since the whole physics and collision system has changed so much. We're definitely going to be taking a look and reevaluating kinetic projectiles and all sorts of new weapons like ore cannons, well, new old weapons based on their different damage output. So, okay, like I always say, keep playing,